So, hi everyone, I'm trying to do this again. Hope it works now. There we are.
Hello.
Perfect. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Great. Thank you. And you?
I'm very good, thank you. So let's get everyone on board here.
Yeah, we're missing Ivana.
Yeah, we're missing Ivana. We don't want to miss Ivana. So there we are.
She's here.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you, ladies?
I mean,
Great.
looking at Maria, it's white.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Pure sustainability.
Where are you both right now?
I'm in Koprivnica, Podravina, that's North Croatia. I live here, I used to live here.
I'm in Zagreb, in my workspace. Yes.
Okay. Nice. I'm actually in
Yeah.
Frankfurt right now. Not Berlin, where I'm usually located, because I'm visiting my family. So the lovely background you see here is live from West Germany, so to speak. And speaking about family, I'm super thrilled to have this conversation with you today because we will talk about sustainability in the context of Croatia, which is actually a country, a place that means so much to me because my dad is Croatian. So
Really?
I'm like,
From
yeah,
where?
from Karlovac.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
That's
So
Zagreb.
yeah, very, very close to Zagreb. So
Yeah.
this is like, a thing that I will probably forever have, this idea of this being the country where my dad is from and where I always went as a kid, on vacation. And I'm so curious, especially with this sustainability narrative, to hear a little bit more from your side and your perspective on how does sustainability in Croatia work right now? How does it work for you? Like, I'm very, very keen on learning that. So, maybe just like a little bit as an introduction, what do you work on right now? And what do you feel is your most challenging sustainability thing right now in your local context?
Maria, please.
Yeah, it's a very hard question, and it's very hard to answer because in Croatia, sustainability is like not existing, almost not existing. Even I is trying to do something. I'm doing something. So we are like just a few people that are working through our thing and trying to make a difference, but with very small steps. I'm focused on design and trying to incorporate sustainability through my design. So with very small steps, I'm trying to make some changes here. But it's pretty hard because Croatia and Croatian people are not really not aware of the situation, and they're not interested in the topic. Not as much they should be now.
Sure, yeah. Well, I kind of maybe think that we are somewhere in the middle. You know, you have the West, they're like, let's so-called progressive, and then you have like maybe some Eastern countries or Southeastern that are less sustainable or less into sustainability. And I think Croatia is very interesting because it's somewhere in the middle. We are in Europe, but we are like beginning of the Balkans, and there is like this whole thing going on here. But if you look at our neighbors like Bosnia or Serbia, we are part of the European Union, and we do have some like plastics. There are some laws. We can get like sustainable materials easier. So I think Croatia is very interesting for thinking about sustainability because like this year was very critical. It became like mainstream, like all the magazines are writing about sustainability. Everybody's trying to get on the train. There is a lot of greenwashing, of course. But I don't know. I'm not even sure that sustainability in the West, like you're in Berlin, is it the trend? Is it really happening? I don't know. Like you can see it, it's so slow moving that I'm not sure. I think we are all talking about it, especially maybe in the West, you talk about it more. And but I'm not quite sure globally where we are.
Well, to be honest, I think that's a general problem, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm simply
Exactly.
not sure where we are globally with this. Like what is real, what is even, greenwashing. And I think it's very interesting that you just mentioned the greenwashing thing. So that's in the West definitely an issue, right? A lot of bullshit out there, to be
Yeah,
honest. How do
in
you
Croatia too.
feel? Yeah, is it already like at this point where it's like a marketing claim, like a cash cow thing, or how do you see that?
Yes, yes, definitely. You have some. We were talking about some like pages where you can find like news about green living, but it's not actually green living
Mm,
at its best. You know, it's like actually greenwashing. I know
mm,
people that are taking care of it and they're not into this and they're doing some wrongs,
mm,
and it's like. Yeah, yeah, it's greenwashing. Definitely, it is.
a lot of
mm,
greenwashing. I mean, as the term came into mainstream, it is like all over the place. And of course, now in the whole region, we have this big problem, of course, with brands from the West, big brands, big corporations that are doing greenwashing, and they are doing greenwashing also through, like, I don't know, influencers and
mm.
similar, but also brands and designers from Croatia are doing some very hardcore greenwashing when
Wow.
they're presenting themselves as like pioneers of sustainability, and they don't have anything to do with sustainability.
Mm,
But that's also a global problem, I mean, do we need the regulation? Do we need some laws? Do we need some clear language? Like, this is
mm,
like some like no man's land, somewhere in the middle. But yeah, it's challenging, but also, and yes, as it came into mainstream, you have a lot of trivialization. I mean,
mm,
if you go, the more mainstream you go, I can speak from my experience, and Maria also. It's always like representation of me as some girl that is walking through the meadow and collecting leaves, and she's like, and if you want to talk seriously, oh no, let's not bother people. But as I've experienced, and I'm sure you ladies also, people want to talk about it. I mean, they're aware that there are like problems, and they don't want to talk about, I mean, of course they want to talk about beautiful stuff, they want to connect to nature, they want to connect to materials, but also, like, we're in serious problems, and we need
mm,
to talk seriously and not represent ourselves like, oh, we are superior, we are like this. They are just like connected. So yeah, Maria, you froze.
I think I think we lost Maria. Hello?
But she looks beautiful, just like frozen. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
she looks amazing like this, so that's okay. Yeah, but
But
I just to continue, I completely agree with you. It's a very interesting thing how you get like even working with sustainability, especially as a female, almost stereotyped, right? You're like either this like itsy bitsy fairy that just like connects flowers somewhere, or you're like somewhat borderline of still the angry feminist that now also fights for climate change or some shit like that, you know? It's like
yeah,
never
yeah,
true.
that's like, I think, the most important thing, because sustainability has become ideology, and
Mm.
sustainability has become a part of identity of young people, identity of, I don't
Oh,
know,
there you
it
are,
does.
you're back.
You're here.
Okay.
No.
Oh, she was here.
uh,
She was here previously.
yeah, it's here. Yeah, it has become a part of identity, and it's empty identity, because,
Mm,
as you said, like, you can be angry, you can be like, oh, in flowers and in nature, but like real opinion and some real conversation with real fears and real problems, it's not happening.
mm. Um, I know that Maria, you focus on design a lot, right? You're like a straight up designer. By the way, the most amazing couture and handmade pieces ever. Now she froze again. I hope she still could hear that. Um, Let us know if you're there. And yeah, and you, Ivana, you're on the other side. You're very much focused on the almost intellectual part, right? You're actually also a researcher, so like you have a different take on these things, or yeah, just an additional take on these things, I would say. What do you think it's easier to talk to straight up creatives with this, or is it easier to talk to people with this that work more on an academic level about sustainability or with sustainability?
I think it doesn't matter what you do. I think it's about openness. You have to be open to idea. You have to be
Mm,
open to uh, to the concept that your whole life is a lie. You know that everything that you ever believed is a lie. You have to be
mm,
really open. So it doesn't
mm,
matter if you're a designer, if you work in a grocery store. It doesn't matter. It's about openness. It's about being able to put information in that is not so light,
mm,
you know,
mm,
because of course, and be able to think about a problem that is very complex.
mm.
So when you think about creative people,
I know.
um,
Sorry.
yeah, it's happening. So Maria, please.
I didn't hear you because something happened and it
No
got
worries.
me out.
I just gave you a compliment for making basically the most amazing handmade slow fashion pieces ever. Like
Thank you.
seriously, absolutely stunning. And if you guys listening haven't checked out her work, totally do it. It's so so stunning. And I was just like trying to understand a little bit, considering the Croatian market or the people you work with in Croatia. Do you think it's easier to talk to creatives about sustainability or more like researchers, journalists, people that work on a different take with like let's say fashion or supply chains?
Well, I think it's either way. It's not hard to talk to creatives about it because they are having the same issues. Yes,
Mm,
the ones that are researching things better, but we are all in the same process, in same. We are all making time to do better. So these are small handful of people that are really taking that seriously and
mm,
trying to do better. You can talk to creatives about it very seriously because willing to make
mm,
changes here. Them, but there are.
cool. Super important. One thing that I really found so interesting, because of course we had like a little call before we did that IG live, right? And it was really, really nice chatting with you on that call. And I remember saying that, of course, what is the first things that you think about when you think Croatia? You think about island, beaches, and summer vacation, because I assume that's what most people go to Croatia for, right? And that's the season when people are going. Which is, by the way, pretty stupid because Zagreb is awesome. So you should all go to other places, not just the beaches and stuff like that. But generally speaking, um, textile industry in Croatia, sustainable textile industry in Croatia. What are your thoughts on tourism and international tourism, which is like such a mega thing in Croatia, versus the textile industry?
Maria, do you want to go or?
It maybe answer better than me, but textile industry in Croatia is existing at the moment. That's all I can say. It happened
Mm,
during the war before, and it's non-existing. Ivana can maybe much more about it because she researched it.
Well, yeah, I was really surprised that you didn't know that we have like textile industry because I think like in Croatia, people are aware of our rich textile past because
mm,
it was one of the top industries. But also people in Croatia don't even know that during the 1930s, we were one of the biggest producers of hemp in the
mm.
world.
Oh wow,
Yes.
crazy.
And yes. And when you think about that we had like raw materials it's really devastating to know that it's all gone because we're all now dependent on import of raw materials. And of course, that's globally the biggest problem of every producer, big or small, is like raw materials. So that is maybe the fact that people in Croatia don't even know. But then we had like this big expansion of fashion, like Zagreb became like capital of fashion Yugoslavia. We had like this big factories, but also during the 70s we had this producers from the West, like West Germany, came and brought like lawn production. I don't know if people are. It's a technical term for like when you just send pieces and you just like do the sewing here. So it's like very low profit for the producer, and that was the beginning of the end of textile industry in Croatia. And during the 90s, it was devastated because there were like big real estates in the middle of Zagreb and big cities. Now, textile industry that is existing is mostly like technical textile, and it's a big industry, like especially here in the north. That's why I really love the north, because it has like this big heritage, textile heritage, and also it has some textile companies. But that's the problem when people say textile industry, we think about fashion, we think about fast fashion, but also like especially in Europe, the biggest piece of the cake is textile, technical textiles, like for Bauhaus, for medicine, for engineering and stuff like that. And if we talk about sustainability, there is a very interesting story, because as at the beginning of the industrialization, you had like this slowly moving of the production from the west to the east. And then during the 40s, it like they went from Britain to Czechoslovakia, and then they came to Croatia. And they established here in the north like this, it is a factory that was like one of the first that dealt with the textile waste, textile waste from the factories. So, and during the last 10 years, they had like this big expansion because of sustainability, because of the problems. So that is a very interesting story that it happened in Croatia, and they're still like working and they're collecting and recycling and everything. But I mean, the problem is global. I said, like, people always ask me about textile industry in Croatia, and I say you cannot think about textile industry in Croatia. It's textile industry in Europe. We are part of the global market, and the factories that are existing, they are working in Europe and on global markets. So we are all in this together. The problems are the same, and we need some solutions, and we need them fast, and we need change.
Everything is connected in a way.
Of course. I mean,
Everything
that's
is
the whole
connected.
idea.
But do you feel because of course like there's a lot of places where this is an issue, right? Where the textile industry slowly gets faded out because of some offshoring and some changes and stuff like that. And of course it's devastating, especially if it is a country with such a rich history, right? Do you think the prioritizing of tourism is kind of fostered that happen? Because I know that a lot of money goes into, let's say, marketing and the general setup for tourists, right? So do you have the feeling the government is like saying like, okay, it's more important for us to keep the tourism alive, textiles might not be so relevant, or do you think it's not important?
I think that our government doesn't know the basics of economics, that you cannot obtain, well, I mean, that's the truth. You cannot have a healthy economic country that's based on tourism that lasts 3 months a year. I mean, it says it all. So the devastation of our industry, not just textile industry, we had like a whole range of industries. They were all devastated, and we are in big problems now because we don't produce anything. We import everything. Everything that is produced that is of quality is being exported. And it's a very complex problem. and I don't know. I don't know what will happen, what is happening. But I love the idea globally that this year is some kind of birthplace. It's very important, and that this is the beginning of something new. Old is dying, and new is being birthed. I don't know how to say it. New is being born, and every decision that is being made right now during this year will show what will be the new phase of our industry in Croatia and globally. So every day is important. Every opinion is important. Every step you take is important. So let's get down to business.
I like that. It's a really good idea, or it's a really good sentiment for that year, I feel. I have a question, Maria, something that where I was curious about. I saw that if I Google the name of your brand, if I Google your name, there is like a million also in like international publications where you gave interviews or where you're featured with your brand, rightfully so, because again, so stunning. But I mean, you're from Croatia, and I know that a little bit, like with my dad, for example, to get like on a personal note here, that you will never get really like rid of the stigma of like, oh, you're from Croatia, so has your family witnessed the war? What's with the war, you know? Like, and I'm sorry to touch that subject. I know it's very sensitive, so I will just let you know, but I think it's worth mentioning it. Do you think when you speak to international journalists, when you get like portrayed as a brand from Croatia, that this stigma, that this narrative is still in their head at some part, or is that something where you like in say like in our age you completely moved on from it?
Well, actually, no one never mentioned it. When someone asked me about an
Okay.
interview or anything, never talked about it or asked anything about the war. So yeah, maybe it's there, but I'm not aware of it because no one ever said anything about it. I was traveling to going through calls and fashion weeks and doing interviews, and actually no one never mentioned it and asked about it. So maybe it's somewhere, but behind my back. So I'm not aware that's happening. But I suppose there is some stigma. I suppose, yeah. Never said it to me, actually.
Okay, that's good. I'm happy to hear that because I personally always find that fascinating that this is such a thing that's still somehow on the radar of people in a very, let's say, unreflected way sometimes. So I'm just curious how it is to be creative and export your, let's say, brand or product, you know, and generally and work with that. And what would you say, or what would both of you say is right now the thing that is the most important for you when it comes to sustainability in Croatia, for your little microcosmos, for the work that you are doing, for your immediate surrounding? What's your goal right now? Like, what do you want to change?
I'm actually thinking I'm just a fashion brand who is trying to make things. I don't like to say that I'm super sustainable because I'm not. And fashion is never completely innocent. That's what I think. It cannot be. But I'm trying to do something better and trying to let people know what they can do, how they can rise to that. So that's like some small steps to something better. That's it. That's from my point of view.
For me, it's the same. I mean, I just started my business, and I'm trying to make it, as Maria said, we are not sustainable. We are on the path of sustainability, on the journey, and I'm just like trying to every day think, how can I be more sustainable? What can I improve? And I think that the thing that we don't talk about enough is that how this can be sustainable for me. That's also important because it's not sustainable if I am just like overwhelmed, if I am, like on the edge of my nerves, and it has to be sustainable for me. So I'm trying to, and if it's not sustainable for me, I think it shows, and it's greenwashing then because I'm not being truthful to my audience, to women. So I'm just like going one step at a time, trying things, experimenting. And I have to say that I'm really overwhelmed positively by the movement that is happening in this region. It is happening, and something very interesting is forming. But we cannot just hold back and watch it. We have to actively cooperate. We have to. In Croatia, I don't know. It's a global also problem, but there is like this very competitive attitude between like designers and everything, and we have to know that if we want to make our industry better and make the world sustainable and to live longer and to live better, we have to communicate, we have to cooperate. So that's, I think, very big journey of creation and of this whole region, to step outside this mindset that if I have, then you don't have. We have to know that we have to work together.
Everything is connected again. And just, yeah, and I hear you.
I mean, come on, it's just a tiny little dot floating in space.
Totally. And sustainability, as in what I see from my perspective, from my work, sustainability can't happen if you do it singled out alone. Like, you have to work with your customers, you have to work with your producers, your supply chain, with fellow creatives to get solutions, right? So I'm very, very thrilled that I'm very thrilled to hear that there's a movement. I think that's very, very cool. And I absolutely loved your takes on everything. And thank you so much for joining me today. It really meant a lot. And I'm hoping that I can visit you in Croatia really soon, once everything is safer and more relaxed. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
Have a
inviting
great day. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Bye.
See you soon.
me. See you in Bye.
Bye.